Why did English bakers believe urine was the ultimate cleaning agent? Why did Viking warriors share the same bowl of spit every morning? Why did the French nobility fear water like a deadly poison, opting for heavy perfumes instead? And what was the secret behind the Incas' fermented hair treatments? From the bacteria-filled pools of East Roman Empire to the never-washed garments of the Mongol steppes, the Middle Age was a festival of filth. In medieval England, laundry day was a biological hazard. Bakers and commoners alike didn't use soap, they used chamber lye. This was aged human urine mixed with wood ash. Because urine contains ammonia, it was actually the most effective cleaning agent of the time for stripping grease and bleaching linens white. English bakers would soak their heavy flour sacks and aprons in vats of stale pea to keep them looking clean, even though they ended up smelling like a rotting latrine. While the clothes were bleached, the beds were crawling. Most people slept on straw mattresses that were rarely, if ever, changed. These mats were a sanctuary for parasites. Thousands of lice, bedbugs, and fleas lived deep within the rotting straw, feasting on the family every single night. In England, sleep tight wasn't just a saying. It was a literal hope that the bedbugs wouldn't bite you hard enough to cause an infection. The Vikings had a morning ritual that would make a modern doctor faint. Every morning, a single wooden bowl of water was passed around the entire longhouse. The first man would wash his face, blow his nose into the water, and spit into it. Then he'd pass the exact same water to the next warrior, who would do the same. By the time the last person got the bowl, they were essentially washing their face in a thick soup of communal snot and saliva. Despite the shared bowl, Vikings were actually the cleanest people in medieval Europe. While the rest of the continent feared water, Vikings had a dedicated bath day every Saturday called La Gardagur. They were obsessed with grooming, using specialized bone combs to remove lice and trim their hair. In fact, Englishmen complained that the Vikings were too clean and were stealing all the local women because they smelled like soap instead of old sweat. The East Roman Empire, or Byzantium, kept the Roman tradition of public baths alive, but with a disgusting twist. Unlike the early Roman days of constant flowing water, these medieval baths often became stagnant pools of bacteria. Hundreds of people, some with open sores, skin diseases, or infections, would soak in the same warm water all day. Instead of getting clean, these baths were often the fastest way to catch a deadly disease or a fungal infection. To maintain a high-status, clean appearance, wealthy Byzantine women, and some men, used white lead-based paste to whiten their skin. They believed this thick makeup gave them a pure, angelic look. In reality, the lead was a slow-acting poison. This hygiene habit caused their teeth to turn black, their hair to fall out, and eventually led to permanent brain damage. In Byzantium, the quest for the perfect face literally rotted you from the inside out. In Paris, the streets were the sewers. Residents would shout "Gardez-vous" before dumping their chamber pots directly out of their windows. Pedestrians lived in fear of the splatter as human waste turned the city into a toxic mud pit. With no sewage system, a simple walk to the market was a constant battle against filth and disease. The French nobility actually feared water, believing it opened their pores to the Black Death. Instead of bathing, they wiped their skin with dry linen and carried pomanders, metal balls filled with spices, to hide the stench. They lived in a bubble of perfume, ignoring the rotting reality of their own unwashed bodies. The Mongols turned hygiene into a death sentence. Under the Yasa Code, it was strictly forbidden to wash yourself or your clothes in running water, as it was believed to offend the spirits. Warriors wore the same garments for years without a single drop of water. The resulting crust of sweat and horse fat was actually considered a layer of spiritual and physical protection. They were obsessed with silk tunics, but for a gross reason. A warrior would wear one silk shirt until it literally rotted off his back. However, this filthy silk saved lives. When an arrow hit, the silk fibers would wrap around the arrowhead instead of breaking. This allowed the rotten silk to be pulled out cleanly, preventing the arrow from tearing the flesh apart. In medieval Japan, a clean smile was a pitch-black one. Through the practice of ohaguro, people painted their teeth with a mixture of iron filings and vinegar. While it looked terrifying to outsiders, it was a genius hygiene hack. The black coating acted as a functional sealant, protecting teeth from decay and cavities centuries before modern dentistry. While Europe was drowning in waste, Japan used a night soil system. They meticulously collected human waste in stone pits to be sold as high-grade fertilizer for farmers. This created a circular economy that kept the streets clean and the crops healthy. In Japan, what the rest of the world saw as disgusting filth was treated as a precious resource. High in the Andes, the Incas maintained their hair using a natural conditioner, fermented human urine. They believed the aged liquid strengthened their hair and protected it from the harsh mountain sun. While the scent was unbearable, the Inca elite walked through their stone cities with perfectly conditioned hair that was literally washed in waste. To keep their teeth clean, they turned to the fire, chewing on charred corn and rubbing a mixture of bitter herbs and saliva onto their gums. This wasn't just a personal habit. It was a communal social activity. By scrubbing away plaque with burnt corn, they effectively prevented infections and tooth loss, making the Incas far more advanced in dental hygiene than the kings of medieval Europe. In the freezing forests of Russia, hygiene was a violent ritual in the banya, or steam bath. Russians would sit in intense heat and beat their own bodies with bundles of birch branches until their skin was bright red. They believed this torture drew out evil spirits and deep-seated toxins through the sweat. It was a highly effective way to exfoliate in a world without modern medicine. However, the soap they used was far from refreshing. Made from rendered animal tallow, it was essentially a block of solid animal fat mixed with ash. While it successfully removed surface dirt, the high fat content meant that after a long, hot bath, a Russian peasant often stepped out smelling less like a forest and more like a greasy kitchen. In the banya, you traded the smell of sweat for the smell of a farm animal. Medieval Spain was a battlefield of hygiene, where two cultures had opposite views on water. In the Islamic South, thousands of public baths were a religious requirement. To the Moors, washing 5 times a day was a duty to God, resulting in advanced irrigation and cities that sparkled compared to the mud-clogged streets of London or Paris. On the other side of the border, Christian soldiers during the Reconquista embraced holy filth as a badge of honor. They stopped bathing entirely to prove their faith, believing that constant washing was a pagan sin of vanity. They wore their sweat-soaked armor for months, believing that the thicker the layer of dirt on their skin, the closer they were to heaven. In Spain, being clean or dirty was a declaration of war. From the urine-bleached linens of Europe to the sacred crust of the Mongol steppes, we've compared the absolute peaks of hygiene across the medieval world. History's routine was a sensory nightmare, where cleanliness was often more dangerous than the dirt itself. But in this global comparison, which regional habit stands out as the most revolting to you? Was it the communal washbowls of the North or the holy filth of the West?